Hello everyone, welcome to another FOTN review. FOTN obviously means frankly, olives, never trustworthy. No way, it means Fight the Night. So yeah, basically this is episode 2, I guess you could call it, where I look back at what was called the Fight the Night UFC card and review it and see if I thought it was worthy. This one is at UFC 224 in Brazil. I know that much. At the Junes Arena in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And it was the co-main event, actually, between Ronaldo, Jacare Souza, and Kelvin Gastelum. And before I actually talk about the fight itself, because it was fucking good, I just want to talk about the Brazilian crowd. I mean, the fight itself was good anyway, but the fact that they helped it along so much with their passion, I just love a Brazilian crowd. They're probably my favorite crowd when it comes to UFC. I mean, the Brits are passionate, the Americans are passionate, the Canadians especially so, but none of them really get it like the Brazilians do. There's just something about that, and it's beautiful. Anyway, fight itself. Round one, easily goes to Souza, but it wasn't completely one-sided, which surprised me. There was some good stand-up stuff right at the beginning, and then Souza got a takedown. The only takedown he got in the entire fight, because he actually went for one before that, and Kelvin defended it, and that's a point I'll talk about more in a bit. But yeah, Souza took down Gastelum, mounted him, switched positions a lot on the ground. Didn't keep to one place for too long. Just enough. Kept moving, changing positions, keeping the pressure on, using some ground and pound here and there, and had some really good submission attempts, especially arm triangles and an armbar near the end of round one, which lasted for for over a minute, or at least a minute and 15 seconds. And Kelvin Gastelum held on to that. But that's the thing I want to talk about. Kelvin's defense, especially on the ground, was amazing, especially considering that Jacare Souza is the best BJJ practitioner in the UFC at the moment, even including Damian Maia, who is also good. But Souza is he's the mutt's nuts when it comes to that. That's my belief anyway. But Gastelum defended really well, and I recall one of my favourite moments of the fight being near the end of the first round during that armbar exchange. Souza was using both of his right hand to try and keep Kelvin in the lock of it. Kelvin was using his left hand on his right arm to try and pull that out because that was the one that was caught, and that left Souza with his left hand free, so he kept landing hammer fists on the side of Gastelum's face. And it was a really, really smart choice for him to attack because he was always looking for something. And I love a ground game where it's not boring and they're both moving and they're both defending really well and they're both trying. And the first round was really exciting because of that. Even though it was mostly Souza doing all the work, it was still a really exciting round and both men showed how good they are. I do still give the round to Souza at the end of the day because he definitely won it, but ultimately neither man came suffering from the first round. And then we get into round two, which was definitely one a bit more Kelvin's speed, but it wasn't easy. Like, this was the one where it started to shift more in Kelvin's favour, but it was still very much in Souza's corner, especially with the momentum he had going from the first round. Kelvin, he landed some good shots. He defended pretty much all the takedowns from Souza from round two and in round three as well. So there was no more real actual groundwork, but there was some good clinch work. And Gastelum ate some really nasty right body shots, and especially some mean left hand from Souza. Like, Souza has really good hands anyway, but his left overhand was astounding throughout this entire fight. And it went from really good stand-up fight to eventual all-out brawl. Like, two men were just swinging at each other, and there was a moment where Gastelum did catch Souza with a beautiful right, straight, and left hook combo that knocked down Souza, and then Gastelum went down to try and finish the fight, but he didn't stay there too long because he knows how good Souza is on the ground. It was a nice little story because he remembered that from round one. It was like, if I stay on the ground too long with Jacare Souza, I'm probably going to get caught in something. So before he could get into any serious trouble, Kelvin Gastelum backed away and the fight was stood back up. And once again, like that, there was a slight dip after that, but then they got right back on it when they needed to. When the crowd was starting to get a little bit weary of it, the two men went right back at it again, and the entire crowd went fucking crazy. And that was amazing. Just amazing. Well, I use that word again because it was an amazing fight. Just fantastic back and forth between both of them. Really, really good blows exchanged. Gastelum definitely does get the slight edge in round, so it wasn't easily attained, especially with Souza's body kicks and takedown attempts. But Gastelum did slightly pinch it, especially with his knockdown. That was the most important part. And then we move on to the third and final round, which once again was just fantastic. Both men had slowed down a bit, and between rounds 2 and 3, you could see that when Souza was being guided back into his corner, he did stumble a little bit, probably an effect from being knocked down. But, you could tell he wasn't 100%, and even then, he still went at it with Gastelum. So they started round 3 with a nice hug of respect. And speaking of respect, both men have it in this fight for me, especially Gastelum. I knew he was good. I've known he's good for 5 years because, he was on the Ultimate Fighter Season 17, and he's been good pretty much ever since. But in this instance in particular, he was amazing. He showed great heart. His defensive skills were top-notch, especially when it came to the groundwork in round 1. And he can take a hit and a half, man. He's tough as hell. And he's only, half a year older than I am, maybe a little bit more. It saddens me that he's the youngest ever winner of the Ultimate Fighter season, of any Ultimate Fighter season. Anyway, enough about that. So, yeah, the two men once again just traded amazingly back and forth. There was more clinch work in this one, and it did sort of slow down the pace, but not much, and there was, enough exciting action in between there, especially with some really good news from Souza. And there was kind of a little bit of a story in between as well, especially in round 2, where the two did get close together with clinches, but accidentally butted heads. But none of them really got hurt or concussed or bled from it, which is a good thing. I mean, sometimes accidental head bonks just happen in a UFC fight. It's just part of, it's just part of the jungle. And that was really the only sort of foul that happened. Although in round 3, Souza did complain that Gastelum had extra Vaseline on him, even though he actually didn't. That was kind of weird. But, and by the way, Leon Roberts and his refereeing in this fight. Holy crap, Leon Roberts is one of my favourite referees in UFC history, and he was on top form in this fight. He never got in the way of anything. He made sure that he wanted to make sure that Gastelum was completely caught in submission and was about to tap out before stopping it, but he knew that Gastelum was good enough to get out of it. Vice versa with Souza, he knew that Souza was badly hurt in round 2, but he didn't stop the fight because, he knew that more work had to be done before the referee could stop it. Really, really smart. Just all-around great refereeing by Leon Roberts. Third man in the match, he gets a bonus. That was great. And, round 3 pretty much carried the same as round 2 out, but at a more measured pace and definitely at a more exciting one at the same time. There were moments where Kelvin Gastelum did have Souza backing up against the cage and landed really, really good right-hand combos especially, but then Souza would bounce back with a vicious left and some good rights of his own, but mostly his left. And his right body kick was once again a good story point because, Souza is orthodox and Gastelum is naturally southpaw. So that leaves Gastelum's body open to the right body kick, and Souza went for it whenever he could, but Gastelum toughed it out. Apparently he has an actual cast iron liver. I didn't know that. So, wow. This entire fight was just amazing. And back and forth, but there had to be a winner. And when the fight ended, Kelvin Gastelum got the win by split decision. I completely 100% agree with that choice. It was all close on the cards, 29-28, 29-28, and 29-28. I mean, two of those going to Kelvin and one going to Souza. But this was an absolutely amazing back and forth fight. Definitely worthy of the Fight of the Night moniker. Probably in my personal fight of the year. This was just fantastic. Two of my favourite fighters, definitely two of my favourite middleweight fighters, in an amazing clash on a card which was actually surprisingly good from what I'm reading on Wikipedia, because as you people know, I use it as a reference. So yeah, this could be my top 10 of the year. It was just fantastic. It was action packed. It was a balanced pace. There was slight tonal shifts where you weren't really sure who was going to win. Even in round 1 where Souza did ultimately dominate, I wasn't 100% sure that he was going to win. And granted, that's because I sort of knew that he wouldn't, because I do have to spoil myself on who wins with these, because I've got no choice. But I will try and take steps to avoid that. But, ultimately, the fight still surprised me. I was completely happy with who won. I would have been happy either way, because I feel like both men definitely did enough. I had nothing against Souza winning. I have nothing against Gastelum winning. Just amazing, amazing fight. If you can find this one right now, and you probably can on the website MMA Core, I'm not sponsored or anything, I'm just recommending you check it out. Go find it if you can. This is great. This is good stuff. yeah, I don't really have a lot else to say that isn't repeating myself at this point. Just go find it and watch it if you can. And I'll see you all tomorrow for the neck deep backtracking episode. It's going to be good. So, as always, thank you for listening. You're awesome. Bye bye.